The void near Jupiter rippled, reality itself tearing like parchment as the Armada emerged, a swarm of obsidian leviathans, their hulls slick with bioluminescent veins that pulse like diseased hearts. Thousands strong, their ships twisted the light around them, warping starlight into jagged halos. The convergence had arrived. Their demand thrummed across every frequency, a guttural roar synthesized into human tongues. Yield. Your atoms will serve the convergence. Resistance is consumption. No threats, no negotiation, just the cold arithmetic of a species that had strip-mined galaxies. Earth, to them, was another carcass to pick clean. But Earth did not scream. It did not beg. In bunkers buried beneath mountains and oceans, faceless engineers monitored feeds. Screens flickered with data from dormant orbital platforms, their labels stark: Aegis, Loki, Odin. Decades of silent labor hummed in the dark. 1 trillion credits, 1 million hands, all bent toward this single unspoken truth. Humanity would not die whispering. Standby protocol active, echoed through every nation, every outpost. Civilians glanced up, then carried on. Teachers taught. Children laughed. The world moved unbroken beneath the shadow of the storm. The Armada split, a detachment of 200 ships breaking formation. Mars hung in their path, its rusted plains dotted with abandoned human domes. Relics of early colonization, deemed obsolete and left to the dust. The aliens scanned them, sensors pinging off solar panels bleached by centuries of wind. Primitive, their admiral concluded. No threat. They did not notice the footprints. Fresh, deep within Mars' Tharsis Plateau, a technician gloved in dust-activated Kevlar pressed a switch. No fanfare, no countdown. The label beneath it glowed. Cradle Protocol. The ground trembled. Alarm klaxons blared aboard the alien vanguard. Seismic spikes tore across their screens as Martian soil shivered, then cracked. Camouflage fields flickered and died, revealing planes of self-replicating nanodrones. Trillions of them, buried in standby, their carapaces woven into the planet's crust. Now they surged upward, a metallic tide, swarming the closest ship. The Admiral's mandibles clacked in disbelief. Eradicate the infestation. Plasma beams lanced downward, vaporizing drones by the thousands. It didn't matter. For everyone destroyed, 10 more peeled from the soil, clambering over wreckage, clawing into hull seams. They dissolved alloy with acidic mandibles, burrowed into reactors and feasted. A destroyer listed, its engine sputtering. Drones spilled from its gut like parasites, trailing molten debris. Another ship fired thrusters to flee. Too late. The swarm latched on, relentless, peeling the vessel apart atom by atom. Retreat! The Admiral snarled, but the horde was everywhere. Martian storms at their approach. The drones didn't need sensors. They felt vibrations through the soil, calculated trajectories through collective intelligence. A frigate imploded, its warp core collapsing into a miniature black hole that swallowed the ship whole. The drones rode the shockwave, unscathed. Earth's engineers watched silent. One adjusted a feed, zooming in as the Admiral's flagship shuddered, its hull breached. The alien's final transmission was brief, laced with static and something almost like awe. This planet is a machine. Then silence. The swarm retreated, dragging salvage wreckage into underground foundries. Nanodrones melted alien alloy into new structures, spires, reactors, defenses. By dawn, the ruins were gone. Mars looked barren again, save for a single, freshly stamped emblem near the equator. A circle bisected by a spear. A warning. A promise. On Earth, the engineers exhaled. Monitors switched from red to amber. Aegis hummed in the asteroid belt, cloaked as debris. Loki spun lies in the comms networks. Odin slept beneath the Pacific, dreaming of fire. The Armada's main fleet sped onward, oblivious. Let them come. The Armada's remaining ships surged toward Earth, their formation tightening like a fist. Mars' betrayal had cost them a vanguard, but the convergence did not mourn. Loss was calculable. Victory, inevitable. Their sensors painted Earth as fragile, blue and unguarded. Its orbital defenses sparse, its cities glowing with naivety. The Admiral's new flagship broadcast a fresh ultimatum. Your tricks die here. Surrender or burn. Earth didn't either. In the asteroid belt, motes of dust stirred. Rocks shifted, their jagged shells splitting open to reveal Aegis platforms, sleek, angular, and hungry. Human engineers, light minutes away, sent a single pulse. Activate. The platform spun, aligning barrel-like emitters toward the Armada's trajectory. Inside each, kinetic rods loaded, coated in metamaterial cloaks that bent light and radar. To alien sensors, they remained debris, inert and harmless. The first volley fired. Rods the size of skyscrapers hurtled silently, invisible until the last moments. Alien point defense turrets awoke too late. Plasma fire slicing empty space as the projectile struck. Hulls buckled. Reactors cracked. A cruiser split diagonally, its half spinning apart, trailing frozen air and bodies. The Admiral's command screen flashed crimson. Evasive patterns. Find the source. But Aegis was already reloading. A second volley launched, rods curving on precalculated paths, herding the fleet into a kill zone. A destroyer collided with fractured asteroid, its shields flaring, then failing as a rod speared its bridge. Explosions rippled to formation, ships scattering like panicked insects. Human engineers tracked the chaos, fingers hovering over triggers. One adjusted trajectory, diverting rods into a cluster of frigates. The resulting debris field became a weapon itself, shredding nearby scouts. The Admiral roared, "Target the belt! Reduce it to dust!" Alien beams lanced outward, vaporizing asteroids, but Aegis platforms had already retreated, camouflaged among the wreckage. The Armada's wrath spent itself on empty rock. Earth's silence unnerved them. No counterattacks, no pleas, only the hiss of dead air. Then, abruptly, a transmission, weak, desperate. A human voice, trembling. "We surrender. Ceasefire. Our cities are yours." The Admiral's mandibles twitched in triumph. Hold bombardment. Occupy orbit and begin harvest. The fleet slowed, descending toward Earth's exosphere. Below, the planet shimmered. Forests lay scorched, oceans gray and stagnant. Cities crumbling. Perfect. The convergence preferred corpses to resistance. They did not notice the glitch. A frigate's landing party breached the atmosphere, aiming for Paris. Their scans showed hollow skyscrapers, streets littered with debris. But as they descended, the city rippled. A hologram flickered, a second skin, revealing untouched boulevards, green parks, and anti-orbital batteries charging beneath. Loki's masterpiece. The AI had woven lies into every frequency, every pixel. To the aliens, Earth was a graveyard. In truth, it bristled. Hidden missile silos, drone hives, and power grids humming at full tilt. The Armada hovered over a ghost, oblivious. Beneath the Pacific, Odin stirred. A submersible drone, dormant for decades, received a code pulse. Its nuclear heart ignited, boring into the seabed with laser drills. Around it, tectonic plates groaned, stress fractures widening. Engineers in the Mariana Trench control hub watched, breath held, as pressure gauges spiked. Stabilizers holding. One muttered, gloved hand steady on the console. Trigger sequence ready. Another replied. The order came. Odin detonated. The seabed split, a jagged maw vomiting superheated steam. Seawater met magma, vaporizing instantly. A column of plasma erupted, miles wide, punching through the atmosphere into the heart of the Armada. Alien ships caught in the inferno dissolved, shields flaring and failing like paper. The Admiral's flagship lurched, its hull scorched as the beam swiveled, carving a molten path through the fleet. Panic erupted. Ships collided, engines overheating. A carrier veered into the plasma stream, its fuel cores igniting in a chain reaction that consumed a dozen vessels. The Convergence's orderly harvest collapsed into chaos. Loki chose that moment to drop the veil. Earth's hologram flickered off. Cities blazed with light. Defenses rising, coil guns, lasers, missiles arcing skyward. The Armada, already mauled, now faced a storm of fire from below. Frigates shattered. Destroyers spiraled, trailing smoke. The Admiral's screens filled with static, damage reports, and the screams of 1,000 crews. Human engineers observed, silent. One tapped the screen, enlarging the feat of Odin's handiwork. The plasma column faded, leaving a smoldering scar in the ocean, and a third of the Armada in ruins. Phase 3, they murmured. Somewhere over Brazil, a stolen alien shuttle, repurposed, rewired, streaked into the fray. Its cargo hold brimmed with electromagnetic pulse mines. The pilot, faceless, nameless, plunged it into a carrier's hangar bay. The detonation fried the ship's systems, sending it careening into a battleship. Both vanished in a fireball. The admiral stared at the carnage. This was not war. This was annihilation. The admiral's surviving fleet reeled, shields flickering under relentless barges. Humanity's traps had gutted their numbers, but the convergence adapted. Ships merged into a defensive sphere, overlapping shields hardening against kinetics and plasma. Their tricks are finite, the admiral snarled, mandibles quivering. Burn their world to ash. Earth's engineers cursed as Aegis rods bounced harmlessly off the new formation. One slammed a fist on a console, fracturing the screen. We need a bigger hammer. A junior scientist, hand smudged with coolant grease, leaned forward. Or their hammer. They pulled up schematics. Stolen alien plasma cores, reverse engineered from Mars wreckage. Venus' atmosphere is 96% CO2. Pump these into the mix and... silence. Then grins. The Armada advanced, Earth filling their scopes. Fire the planet killers, the Admiral ordered. Glowing orbs gathered at their ship's prows, charged with enough energy to crack continents. But humanity struck first. Aegis platforms in the asteroid belt self-destructed, their debris slingshotting toward the fleet. Alien shields deflected the fragments, but the real threat came from behind. Drones, disguised as wreckage, latched onto engines and detonated. Ships lurched, their formation buckling. "Ignore the pests," the Admiral roared. "Target Earth." The planet killers fired. Beams lanced toward Earth and struck mirrors. Lunar installations, cloaked as craters, reflected the energy back. Ships vaporized in the backlash, their own weapons turned against them. The Admiral's flagship shuddered, its shields overloading. How? Loki's final eye dissolved. The holographic dead Earth flickered, revealing untouched cities, pristine oceans, and lunar mirrors glowing red-hot. Anti-orbital batteries swiveled, locking onto the Armada. Humanity wasn't done. Venus loomed, its acidic clouds churning. Stolen alien plasma cores hurtled into the atmosphere, trailing fire. The cores detonated at 50 kilometers altitude, igniting the CO2-rich sky. A chain reaction began, a self-sustaining firestorm, temperatures rivaling stars. The Armada's sensors screamed warnings as the inferno spread, engulfing ships that strayed too close. "Evasive maneuvers," the Admiral barked. Too late. Drones herded stragglers into the storm. Shields held for seconds before melting. Hulls boiled, decks flashed incinerating. A cruiser pilot rammed their ship into the Admiral's flank, desperate to escape the flames. Both vessels vanished in the maelstrom. Earth's engineers watched, coldly efficient. One adjusted a feed, zooming in on Venus's now glowing surface. Atmosphere depletion, 12%. They're accelerating the burn. "Let it eat," another replied. The Admiral's flagship fled, its hull scorched, crew decimated. Jupiter's warp rift glowed ahead, their only escape. Signal the fleet, retreat and regroup. But humanity had saved its cruelest trick for last. From Saturn's rings, ships emerged. Not sleek Aegis platforms, but cobbled-together freighters and retrofitted colony vessels. Their hulls bristled with stolen alien warp drives, rigged to overload. A faceless pilot aboard the lead ship triggered a countdown. The Admiral's sensors flagged the threat. Destroy them. Alien beams lanced out, vaporizing freighters, but each blast destabilized the warp drives. Space itself twisted, a cascade of rifts tearing open. The flagship's engines stuttered, caught in the gravitational chaos. The pilot's final transmission crackled through the Admiral's bridge. "You shouldn't have come here." Their ship collided with the primary rift. Reality buckled. The rift imploded, dragging the remnants of the Armada into the crushing dark. Silence settled over Earth. In bunkers, Engineers stood slowly, limbs stiff from hours of vigilance. Screens displayed the aftermath. Venus smoldering, Jupiter's rift sealed, alien wreckage drifting in Saturn's orbit. No cheers erupted. One by one, they powered down systems, hugged loved ones, and slept. Mars nanodrones were already moving, harvesting the ruins. Europa's ice cracked as hidden shipyards rose, integrating alien tech into new defenses. The galaxy would send more predators. Humanity would be ready. Earth's dawn broke, unremarkable. School bells rang. Markets bustled. Farmers tilled soil unpoisoned by alien fire. Engineers emerged from bunkers, squinting at the sun, then vanished into crowds. No statues were carved. No songs were sung. Victory was a quiet thing, folded into the rhythm of survival. Above, the sky teemed with activity humans would never see. Mars nanodrones devoured alien wreckage, reforging it into orbital farms that rained nutrient-rich ice onto drought-stricken regions. Europa's shipyards birthed stealth frigates from salvaged hulls, their designs hybridizing human pragmatism and alien curves. Jupiter's repaired warp rift hummed under new management. A fleet of autonomous sentry drones, programmed with one directive: knock and be answered. The galaxy learned slowly. A convergent scout, crippled in Saturn's rings, drifted for months before Kuiper Belt miners found it. Inside its data core, battle logs, sensor feeds, the Admiral's final screams. Traders sold the recordings to a dozen species. Holograms of Venus Firestorm played in alien taverns. Mercenaries whispered of reapers in the dark. Diplomats debated. Had humanity hidden other traps? Were their dead worlds all machine gods? Myths sprouted. On the desert planet of Krelv, children built model Aegis platforms from scrap. On the aquatic moons of Typhon, engineers replicated Loki's holograms to hide cities from raiders. Humanity's name became a verb. To human meant to fight with silence, to win before the first shot. The Convergence's high command convened in a black hole citadel, their carapaces etched with defeat. Scans showed Earth's defenses evolving. Lunar mirrors now doubled as solar forges. Mars nanodrones had learned to hack alien code. Jupiter's rift was a choke point, guarded by stolen tech. Annihilate them, urged the War Master. Glass their world with planet breakers. A dissenter flicked a claw. And trigger more traps? They want us to retaliate. Their entire species is a countermeasure. The debate raged. Meanwhile, a fringe faction, the Convergence's disgraced scientists, outcast for weakness, sent a transmission to Earth, encrypted, pleading, "Teach us, we wish to human." The reply took years. It arrived as a data burst, unencrypted, broadcast on every frequency. No words, just schematics, drought-resistant crop systems, fusion reactors built from asteroid or medical nanites key to alien biology. A single phrase loop at the end: "We build, we do not conquer." The dissidents decoded it first. They grafted human tech into their worlds, shielding cities with Aegis-inspired grids, feeding starving colonies with orbital farms. The Convergence's war masters raged but dared not strike. These worlds were now laced with human traps. On Mars, a child crouched in red dust, sketching Jupiter in her tablet. Above her, the sky shimmered as drones etched a memorial into Phobos' surface. A single line, translated into 1,000 tongues: "Beware the quiet ones." Her mother called her inside. Supper steamed on the table, vegetables grown in nanodrone-tended greenhouses. The child asked, "Did we really beat the aliens?" "They beat themselves," her mother said. "We just helped." Far away, a human freighter exited warp near Saturn. Its hull was patched, its crew faceless. They loaded salvaged alien tech, then departed. No battles, no fanfare. On the bridge, a cup of coffee cooled beside a screen displaying incoming threats. Pirate fleets, corporate mercenaries, rogue AIs. The captain, hands only, sipped unfazed. Let them come.